see. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As soon as we start this program, remember the number to call is 442-0175. We encourage you to call, participate. Your contributions are always highly appreciated and welcome. And we run this program because we provoke discussion. We believe that we are responsible, nobody else, for addressing the challenges that face us. And we must discuss it and come up with the best suggestions. There must always be answers. We must always encourage our leaders to walk the straight and narrow. Remember, it's not their interest they serve, it's the interest of Grenada. On the 7th of February, 1974, Grenada got independence. And today, we're going to put some effort, some time, and some energy on speaking about that. Some of you may not be around, but you could speak about what you heard or your own personal feelings now. 52 years ago, we in 2026, a whole generation has passed on, but we still have some people alive. Anybody who is alive when we had independence, they had to be 52 years plus. A lot has changed since that time. The passion, the energy, the exuberance, the belief, the hope that those people then have had, that if we have independence, sometimes you don't know if any one of them reaped the harvest, what they felt, but we will light colors. We do hope between now and tomorrow that we get a call of some of the individuals who was there, who knew, some of the young political pundits who have to direct this country. They may speak about independence in Grenada. It was a hopeful period. Individuals striving for independence. The last 2 months prior to independence, from January 1st, was not easy time in Grenada. The business places and stores were shut down. You had a national strike. The dock workers refused to load ship. The business places was shut down. The schools was interrupted. Every day, they had demonstration led by Maurice Bishop. They would have been sending transportation to the schools to collect students to demonstrate. Gary must go right now. Very militant chats. And that went on for over 1 month. Every day. I don't think we had any demonstrations on Saturdays, on Sundays. But every day on else there was disruption of the school system. An interesting time as a student in school that time. The debate was hot in school too. Some children support, some against. So the schools was generally disrupted during that period of time. The British government had granted the permission for Grenada to get independence. But the local opposition did not want independence. They say Bishop going to go to turn communist. Gary. They say Gary going to turn communist. He's a dictator. He has really dealing with Pinochet in Chile. The opposition was hot. Fire. Gary said it was brimstone and fire. Every day, people demonstrating in the street. It was not easy to get a ride from those who were against independence. Gary supporters was walking to go to meeting. The people, it's not like no. Most of the people who own buses was GNP. And they would not have let their vehicles be hired to transport people. So people were walking to meetings. And Gary was encouraging them. And the language used was very hot, divisive language, demeaning language. But the Garyites then followed Gary and they wanted independence. Gloria Payne Banfield and Gottfried Tain and Pamela Steele and these other people, high public officers, was on different community committees and played a very important part in it. And the village leaders was around. Somebody big, the farmers were cutting banana and bringing on provision in truck to feed the stevedots so that they would hold on with the strike. It was a really testing time in Grenada. And you have to take that against the background that after the Federation failed and Trinidad did not answer the call by the other countries to lead them in the Federation with that famous political, mathematical declaration, 1 from 10 is not. And Gary advocated that the island should go together, but they refused. So Gary decided to walk the plank alone. It had to be serious bravery to walk the plank alone. The other OECS countries was looking on. John Compton from St. Lucia and the others. He was not supportive of Gary then and the Alliance and the GNP in Grenada. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
Now, you say the issue about Gary.
Yeah.
Now, what I would like to say, yes, we know he's the main man in terms of independence, but I find a couple years now, when it's independent time, I just hardly hear about a man name. So if he is the main man and this is he's supposed to be fit here 100% within the time of the celebration of the independence, but I don't know for what reason why. I don't find out to hear him highlighted. Now, next point. Now I was listening what I have to say, I talked with the Minister of Agriculture last night. And he was saying after burial, $34 million is pumped back to the farmers after burial. But I don't hear you saying that. You don't get nothing. So if $34 million pump, how come you ain't get nothing?
Well, nobody knows how much money the government, because the government decided to pay people who had 5 acres of land or less $4,500. And those who had over 5 acres of land, 9,000. But a lot of individuals did not get money, including me, because the government paid money based upon the perceived political position of the people. So we had foresters in Parkley that did not get money. I did not get money, and I was supposed to get $9,000, and they did not give me. The Minister of Agriculture, I understand, said don't give him. And a number of other individuals did not get. There are people with 30 acres of land that got $4,500. So the Minister of Agriculture must take that figure from a hat. We don't know how much money they pay. And they gave people based upon their perceived political position. Remember, the first set of money they give it out in checks, I think was in planes. And when I saw the people who went and received the checks, I know them. Most of them was hot NDC supporters. So the government used that money and they play straight politics with it. And that is why, because I'm on radio, they refused to give me. And they had some fertilizer given out, 5 bags of fertilizer. And because some farmers close to me, I normally do things for them, not charge them, we are all farmers. And my vehicle went on 2 occasions to collect manure for them, but they say my name is not on the list. So they did not give me. So I don't know if they spend all that money, but they only use burial to make political politesse to give some of their supporters. I know individuals that did not have land and they get money. Everybody know they didn't have land, but they get money. There are rumors that husband and wife get money for the same land and the wife get more. But that is the NDC. Remember, Deacon said the only reason the others getting help because he's not certain who the real NDC is. So they use that money from burial to make political politesse. They give it to their supporters. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
let me first of all apologize for yesterday.
Go right ahead, man. Yesterday gone.
No. I had a
You have an
situation-
opportunity tomorrow.
No. You must listen because we had a situation where a young man that I was basically teaching to play the drums, he passed away and he died, you know.
Accept
And
my
then some of the
sympathy.
things I had to deal with that.
May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah. So I had to deal with that. And then I had some other commitments I had to deal with because I'm not a chicken. I just want you to know that, right? So do we still have the opportunity for I to expound on?
Go right ahead, caller.
Right. So basically, what I want to tell you is that the creative affairs, right, or being a creative, basically somebody like you. It could be an artist, a person that draws, a person that cooks, a person that broadcasts, a person that in music, as me, a person that play music, a person that writes, like for example in newspapers, a person that involved themselves in acting, right? So it's a very broad base something. Now, and hence the reason why with what the government is doing and engage themselves in, I must give the government credit on that because we've never seen administration before in the past that dug deep and try to facilitate and try to understand the creatives as how this present government is doing. All right. In that regard, I basically want to commend the government because the creative is they're basically part and parcel of something that we all should get involved in. The creative affairs is a division in the ministry, right, of culture, right? And of course, that's also involving the economic affairs. Presently, what they're doing is a whole lot of stuff to diversify and to make sure and to incorporate the abilities that the creatives have in Grenada to make them more productive, to research, to sell, to market, to make people more aware, right? For example, you have people that are doing videos as well. They are all part and parcel of the creatives. The terminology creative, we since this government basically came into power, we've heard that word a lot. It basically means that people who are involved in things like poetry, drama, you might want to write a book, you know. So if I start calling things, you're basically going to realize that is a never ending something, right? The creative again could be somebody that involved in making movies, short film, somebody that deal with the computer. So you see the intricacies of the creative is very broad based. That's why I keep saying it's an industry inside an industry. And it basically feeds on our natural talent and abilities. And it's something that you can make monies on. You can basically advertise your island because you are part and parcel of the creative too, you know. Because by me calling you and you have that person that providing the live stream, that is also creative. Now, the government also involved themselves in collaboration with a bank. Well, remember, I'm not the minister or the person in charge of that, so I'm just giving basically giving a quick overview or a quick rundown as to what is happening. So there are instances where people can get soft loan, and in cases some grants and so on to improve on the business, right? I think the GDB is responsible for that. So if you call the GDB, they will and the creative, they will the Ministry of the Creative, they will give you more in-depth details that I will give you. But all those things are to facilitate the folks in Grenada. Like we have a lot of artists, you know, a lot of studios, right? And a lot of couple guys in Grenada, they basically got that help so they can do the music producing. For example, again, I could tell you for a fact there are folks who you call it embroidery, the people that deal with like different logos and the hats and the shirts and so on and so forth. And that's also creative, right? That is also a creative person, right? And if people been getting help and assistance, and not just help and assistance, but this government make sure that they make people more aware of it. They talk about it on the air all the time. You're always hearing something happening. ComSpan, where the Ministry of Culture, together with the creative and so forth, they decided to bring that to the communities. For example, I could tell you because I'm part and parcel of that. Because, for example, the young man who passed away, I've been helping him to play the drums, and we have folks teaching the pan, and we've even yesterday there and looking at the students enjoying the pan. What the government decided to do, seeing as it's so expensive, because learning to play guitar and keyboard and bass, which I do, is very expensive. Unfortunately, I I basically was self-taught with a few teachings from certain people, but I've been able to go through that process. What the government doing is that they're actually getting people to help. In my case, I'm basically helping along. So it's not I'm not getting paid by anybody. This is in terms I see it as community service. I see it as giving back. So the government decide that they're gonna get pan. They spend a lot of money to get pan. You know, pan is very expensive, and in some cases, I could tell you for in fact, like for the skill training center somewhere in St. David's. Right now, they're working on that. So we have some musician lineup to start teaching the children keyboard. I don't want to name those guys on the air: guitar, keyboards, and so forth, and drums, and a matter of fact, in T. Marshall Community College, right? They basically are teaching and doing things to facilitate that institution. Students and the teachers can be comfortable in terms of music production. They had classes in the past. So I'm telling you about those things because that's the initiative. I'm not saying government may not have had that before, but in terms of the push, in what this government doing so far, in terms of the push and making sure that people hear it and always on the air talking about it and that promotion and that awareness, we've never seen that before, right? And again, when and going back to the ComSpan, an initiative from the Ministry of Culture, of course, where they decided that these things are expensive for people to learn. I could tell you that for a fact. And what they decided that they're going to get teachers to teach. And thus far, right there in Current Community Center, I could tell you for a fact, we have a lot of children every Monday, Tuesday, up to Friday. They're up there in Current in the droves. Sometimes I have 30 students, 20 students learning to play pan. Government see that as an initiative in terms of reviving the pan in St. David's in particular, but not just St. David's. Every parish got pan where they can facilitate the children and adults, if they want to learn in the afternoon, they can come and learn to play pan and learn to play the drums just as how I've been teaching that, right? And
Thank you, Color. Yes,
that's
thank you very much, Color.
okay. So I hope you get.
Yeah.
I keep saying that the initiative from the government in terms of the creative is so real and so and I appreciate you for giving me that time. Thank you so much. Pierre. Okay?
Yes, Color. Yes, we go back to 7th February 19. Yes, Color, welcome.
Good morning.
Yes,
I like to tell KJ good morning. He's just waking up. He doesn't know what been going on in the country long before. So he could just rest himself and sit down and listen to people and stop running him out like an old pan that he can't play. Good morning. Have a great one.
Yes, Color. Welcome, Color. Punch.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my
How is it, my brother?
great man.
I hear the brother calling this morning, KJ. Hey, KJ, I and you have something, similar. I'm a professional musician, and I hear you talking some things there. I wonder if you know about tritone substitution. You know how to build chords? You know how chords establish? If you want a professional to teach you how to play music, I am one, but I ain't coming in all this shit. I want to give that to the NMP when they get in power. You know how to build chords? You know chord scales? You know common tone relationship? You know how the bass line established? E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G? You know FSC, E, G, B, D, F, line and space? You know them things? You come here and you're talking. You have no talent, man. You try to sing, but you can't sing. But I respect the little talent God give you. But anyway, what I try to tell you, don't try making yourself a fool of what you're doing. Don't try making yourself up. You know nothing. You have nothing to bring on the table. Anyway, Mr. Pierre, what you done?
Yes, Scholar. It's always good to improve the things that we have. Every now and then, new life is provided. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, Scholar, welcome.
well, I hope you give me my minutes because I want to see you sit down there only between your mouth with the world, listening to nobody don't say fucking day. That man, the one before the two color, only they between him more than creative and creative. You know about creative, and they go one jump up in the stage in Sotes as mad people. They didn't know let him go to Richmond Hill. Jump up. You know that, Mr. Pierre?
I was not in St. Patrick's today. I was not there. I didn't see.
That's like if they don't like for that man in the middle. If you see that man jump and calling me, Calypsonian, he going with the crown. Where he start? Did him about creative? He know about creative? That man and say, oh, she must and go and learn to sing.
So his performance was not creative?
Tell him and say, go.
Was a real creative dance, perhaps?
Yeah, new creative dance. I don't know where you get it really mental. But they come in a new creativity. And with the crown, he goes with the crown. And that kind of crap. Where you get it together? In the well. You was a sleeper man. Well, maybe you have
All right, caller, thank you very much. Yes, independence period was for the people who are wrong there at that time. Yes, caller, welcome.
So, yeah.
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, okay. You know, first, I just want to say something about the pan, right? I just want to say, we had, pan was made, steel band was made in Grenada, in True by Mr. Wilfred Harris. Wilfred Harris was on making, and when he reached Grenada, he made steel band for schools and other bands in Grenada. However, this period here, 2 years of independence, we must remember contribution of Eric Matthew Gary to take Grenada independence against odds. The technical allied and workers union, the cement and waterfront workers union, the business community, the church shut down Grenada before. It was a struggle for us to get independence for Grenada during that. It was a period I could refer to as a period of turmoil in our country because the plantocracy did not want independence under Eric Matthew Gary. In 1966, after Grenada attained self-government and the GNP lost the election of 1967, Mr. Gary went to England requesting that we be given full independence. Under statehood, you got self-internal government with England responsible for foreign affairs and defense. The British government gave Mr. Gary a condition in which he can attain independence. And in 1972, the Grenada United Labour Party won 13 of the 15 constituency, and the requirement from the British government that you must have it in your manifesto, you must get 2/3 of the seats in parliament, and the GOP attained that with all the conditions, a new constitution, and that was attained by the GULP administration in government at the time. So today, despite all the protests, despite all the shutdown, the people who are enjoying the benefits of independence today is not the poor and valuable people who stood up with Eric Matthew Gary and supported him that we should attain independence for Grenada. The slogan is G.O. Go, Gary must go. G.O. Go, Gary must go. 3 weeks before independence, the governor, Dame Hilda Bino, had to resign under pressure. It was a very, very difficult period in our country. There was no electricity, and so our flag had to be hoisted by light from a generator. What is so important about independence is that we now sing our own national anthem, Hail Grenada. 200 years before that, we sang God Save Our Gracious Queen. At 11:59 on the 9th of January 6, 1974, the Union Jack was lowered and the national flag was hoisted when the national anthem was played by Cyril Mitchell of the Royal Grenada Police Force. Hail Grenada! 52 years and going. Thanks to Eric Matthew Gary, the visionary for attaining independence for Grenada, CARICOM, PT Martinique. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother. Thank you very, very much for that important point. Some people always express concern that during independence, the voice of Eric Gary is not loud. Then you have to understand some of the forces that was against Gary then is now in authority and in power. So you must raise the voice of Eric Matthew Gary. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller.
good day. How are you, sir?
Great, man.
I'm a first-time caller to your program,
Thank you very much.
but constant listener. You know, I'm sitting here and listening to persons making their contribution with relation to what happened in Grenada in 1974. I participated in a big way in the Grenada independence. Grenada independence. I was a police officer, as a matter of fact, a young policeman, and I was one of the guys who took part in forming the Guard of Honor at Fort George that night. In other words, I was one of the guys who participated in hoisting the Grenada flag. Gaining independence for Grenada under Sir Eric was not an easy task. As a young man, I could remember I would have lost sleep for maybe a whole week because the police force was weak. There weren't many police officers, and there was a lot of disturbances. So we had to guard all the buildings in St. George's because the opposition people were burning them.
They were burning them.
And we also had to guard the government buildings and also prepare for the hoisting of the flag on Fort George. It was a difficult period, and some of the people who are now celebrating the good of independence were the ones who was against it. I don't hope and I wouldn't wish for the things that happened then to come back and happen in Grenada anytime in the future. We had it in 1983. We had it in 1979. But in 1974, the period was terrible. If I had to discuss what happened there in 1974, it didn't start in 1974. As a matter of fact, the Grenada Revolution had not started in 1974. It started since 1970. And those persons who want to write Grenada history, they should speak to the right people, the persons who are actually involved. And if they sort it out and ask for advice and true experience, people like me, I'm sure, would be willing to tell them what they know. Our flag, independence flag, was hoisted in darkness. We were only able to get light from the battleship that was anchored in the strip. And the reason why they gave us light is because the British state troopers were there with us to lower the British standard, and we Grenadians had to hoist the national flag. I'm not hearing Grenada history. The persons who are speaking doesn't know what happened, and they're not seeking information. There are lots of us out here who can see what happened in Grenada there and then, but nobody's asking. You know, I read books on Grenada independence, and most of it is not true. The things they say about Sir Eric is not true. The things they say about Morris Bishop is not true. So I think the truth needs to be told, and Grenadians should do proper investigation and find out. You know, Grenada got independence in turmoil, and I think it's time that the people settle down, find out the truth, and run the country in the right way. Have a nice day, Mr. Pierre. Many more to talk about.
Thank you very much for calling, and I do hope you call again. And the thing is, too much of the gay rights are silent. The individuals then who was the journalists, who was the intellectuals, who was remnant of the plantocracy, they did not want independence. And over the years, a concerted effort have been made to suppress anything about good about Gary. They propagate the lies, they manufacture lies, and they propagate it. And our children believe it. And we who were there, you have a forum now to call, to express your views and opinion, and to counteract the years of lies and propaganda. Morris Bishop and them, they sit down in the lab and they make lies to defame Gary. And over the years, it was very successful. So even when we have independence now, all sort of distraction so that Gary name must not mention. And when Eric Gary say he wants nothing or not, just imagine the Point Saline airport that was built, the road, Morris Bishop Highway, was built by Eric Gary. They criticized Gary so much that Gary went in a private plane and land on Morris Bishop Highway to convince Grenadians that the salt pan would not be destroyed if plane landed. Because Morris Bishop and him was advocating Gary want to destroy the salt pan. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hi, afternoon, Mr. Pierre. How are you?
Great, man.
Yeah. Mr. Pierre, I want to say congratulations to the 9 NMP candidates that were launched yesterday in going forward when the next election call. And Mr. Pierre, these 9 men and women of quality, men of women with quantity, men and women that came into politics not to fulfill the dreams, but to fulfill the dreams of the poor people competing market, to uplift the people and to give them a better life, give them a better life in society. Because when they are contract to the NDC candidate, and I remember the campaign was saying in the election campaign, Dan, when you go and you elect people and they are naked, before they help you, they go help themselves. And this present NDC politician is like greedy and vulture. The more they help themselves, more they want. They help themselves and ignoring the poor people going to carry competing matter. But these 9 candidates, they are candidates that love people, they care about people, and they want to see the people going to carry competing matter. Life improve. They want to see good for the people going to carry competing matter. I want to say to the 9 candidates that launched yesterday, continue to do what you're doing. You're on the right track. And the people that in your constituency, they know you. They know where you stand. And you don't get politics to help yourself. Well, get to politics to help better the life of the people going to competing matter. And Mr. Bay, have a good afternoon.
Thank you, caller. So yes, independence period, as the guys say, was very difficult period. It was an extremely difficult period. It was a hard period for the Gayites because they closed the shops and the supermarkets and the stores, and they was selling to the people, but they were not selling to the ordinary Grenadians. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. P, I was there. I was there when they cleaned Joshua airstrip. They passed through there so that they land that plane there. When he was thinking about bringing the airport to the south, then the taxi drivers, taxi association was forcing that they was going to lose commercial from Paul's to St. George's. So they didn't want that transaction. So hence there was a slowdown on that. And what I should say then now that I only worked 4 years in Grenada, 4 years of my life in Grenada. And because of Gary, I was able to work. Because of Morris Bishop and his people, them, I had to finish school. My last place of schooling was in Tantine, where we call the Wing. We was going there. When they started with a demonstration, we couldn't get teachers to come to school. We had teachers coming from the country coming down. We couldn't get bus, no transportation. Going to school, no teachers. So that cut. Trying to get job in Grenada after that, I couldn't get. I write to the police force. I couldn't get no answers. I sent in the post office. I give people to bring in. Nothing. One day, so Eric Gary was passing through the village. Met my grandfather. and he asked him what we could do for you. He said, anybody you know that need jobs, tell them to come in the office Monday morning. It was over the weekend. About 4 of us went down. When I get into the defense force, 2 weeks after, I got response from the police department that they're not taking any more applicants. I was already in there. So because of him, I was able to work. And the things they said about him, as you were saying, majority of it is lies. Where Bishop and them was saying that he left instructions was to kill him, lies. When we had the radio station Wibs, when Bishop them was communicating to Cuba, if they wanted to kill Bishop them, they stopped them long time ago. They tell them, do not disturb the broadcast. Wait until the radio station get off the air before they communicate with Cuba. So all those things that them people say, as the guy said before, the books that they're reading is a bunch of lies they tell in the books. Everybody tell their own version of whatever it is and is the truth. And it's not the official truth of what happened. But I want to say, the best prime minister Grenada ever had was Dr. Eric Matthew Gary and Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell. The two from the Northeast and St. Andrews, not East, the wise man from the East. Have a great day.
Yes, scholar, thank you very much. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, good day to you and
Yeah.
your listeners. I just want to ask a question. What's the true meaning of independence? Does it mean no more slavery and I controlling and I own destiny? Or independence is celebration from military parade, inspection, gun salute, and ammunition? Can we stand independent and every day we beg the master descendant? Can a nation be independent and the importation bill still going uphill? Can a nation be independent without the name, the language, the religion, the God, and the land? So while you're celebrating, let's think about the meaning. It means no more British ruling. Black man found him king. It's no England as I motherland. Africa and I found a nation. Who gave this independence should compensate the slave descendant. Them ruling, so every independent, they must run something. Because in the slavery days, it's for them, we great-great-parents was working. And all we getting is a little independence message. An honor for the privilege. We celebrating, but the founder, we not recognizing. So when we importation bill come big, and you get market for them seeds, and I will celebrate massive. I give a mouth to Black Poet.
Yes, scholar, thank you. Good poem.
Rastafari.
Yes, Rastafari.
Yeah.
Yes, the independence means that you are responsible for your internal and external affairs. You're no longer a colony of Britain. In 1966, 67, we got statehood. We was responsible for internal affairs, but the British was responsible for foreign affairs and defense. So when we got independence in 1974, we became responsible for internal affairs. That is why Maurice Bishop could have overthrown the government. no country responsible for our defense anymore. We were responsible for it. Countries in the world today realize that they cannot defend themselves against powerful countries. And that's why we have blocks. The European Union, they have a block. I think it's about 20-something of them now. And they claim if you touch one, you touch all. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good day, good day.
Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, I listened to you and Gary and the Independence and whatnot. What surprised me is that we had a government that ruled this country for 23 years, and they have never done nothing for Uncle Gary to remember him. Nothing whatsoever.
But remember, Uncle Gary, Scholar, you said they have done nothing. Scholar, that's not true.
That's true.
You remember they put up a statue in the Botanical Gardens? And I remember they called some place Eric Gary Botanical Gardens?
Yes.
They did that. But Eric Gary said he wants nothing on earth. And it was the same government that got Gary to come back in the park. When the NDC decided they would not give him back a land, although the court said they should give him, it was the NNP under Kit Mitchell that gave him back. So it is not fair to say they did nothing, although Gary said he wanted nothing on earth.
They give him nothing. Let me tell you something. The greatest thing anybody ever do to Gary is the NDC. Right now.
What I do?
They put in the money bill.
Color, that is an insult. When Deacon Mitchell put Eric Gary name on the bill with Bishop, is an insult. He put it there to mock Gary. Deacon wasn't genuine. That's why I tell you, Deacon is a criminal and a fake. That wasn't genuine, Color. Come on. Do better than that. And that's one of the challenges we have. They want to dilute the significance of Eric Gary. And Eric Gary don't bother with that. He say, I want nothing on earth. But they're so proud to give Maurice Bishop the highway that Gary built. The Maurice Bishop highway was built by Eric Gary. And Gary landed a plane on the highway. He wasn't the pilot, but he came in a private plane. Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, Scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, that last caller, you must let him speak when he calls, Mr. Pierre. That gentleman know a lot of things, Mr. Pierre. That's my favorite caller, Mr. Pierre. I get a lot of information from him. You must let him speak.
Well, I let him speak, and I just corrected him. Sometimes you people call and say I must correct. Well, this one about Uncle Gary, I don't jig on that. Because I was there. I was wrong. I'm wrong. So when you want to make a statement like that, I'm assuming you don't know. So I correct some things, and I let some things lie.
You remember 1995 election, Mr. Pierre? How many seats Gary had gotten? 2 seats. Michael Baptiste, Pierre. And you know, NNP had gotten 8. So it was 8-5-2. NDC got 5. You know what the two gentlemen did for Gary? What they did? They joined the NNP, you know. You know why they did that? Because the same made there, whereby they had took Gary land and properties, the NNP had planned to pay him back, you know. So they formed a deal, 2 gentlemen formed or joined the NNP administration after the election. You remember that? Edward Baptiste was Minister of what? Fisheries? Agriculture at the time? Pierre had gotten fired because he had kicked a dog or something. You remember that? But I don't think they had paid Gary. Did they pay Gary, Mr. Pierre? He get any compensation? Gary was holding on to power, Mr. Pierre, in a house somewhere in St. George's, upper local street there. Listen, Jerry still went to him.
Renald Benjamin went to him. Baptist went to him for leadership. And he won't give up, you know. He's holding on to power. Remember that? You don't remember that? They had promised to pay him or compensate him for what happened in the rebel. Up to now, I don't think Gary get any compensation. If my memory serves me right. So there's a lot of mamagism, Mr. Pierre. We need to clarify and educate and persuade people on what's taking place, Mr. Pierre. Mr. Pierre, you have a nice day.
Thank you, Colin. You see, you just take issue with me for correcting the man. And that's why I decide not to correct you. Yeah, that was our last scholar. And that was our last scholar for the day. But we want to encourage the people who are wrong to continue speaking. You could always call on my program and speak about Eric Gary. Because during that period of time, the propaganda, the opposition was very, very strong. Maurice Bishop, the Alliance, they got support from a lot of Caribbean leaders, the intelligentsia, the university graduate, Leslie Pierre, Alistair Hughes, and other journalists. And they really bombard the airwaves with propaganda. Gary had a committee called Community Builders Brigade. And they used to go around in the community sometimes and tell people, this rumor they have, they lie, not true. Every week, they had a new rumor coming out. One time they said the snake in the zoo let go. And he makes 60 young ones and they poisonous. Imagine people in rural Grenada, on the estate, afraid to go in the land. And some of the estate owners telling them, yes, the snake are going to shoot. So the Community Builders Brigade went to them and said, no, the snake there in the zoo is not poisonous. But that couldn't help. The fear of some of the agriculture farmers was real. How did Gary counteract that? Gary started to make school trips and take children from the schools to do tours. And part of the tour was in the zoo. They said that is snake there. And when the children go back, that is how the fear was stemmed. It was not an easy period. They spread so much rumor on some women that even some of the Garyites send the daughters away. They say he had basin of blood. Gary was making video of people. Every week, new rumors come out. They used to call the radio station Radio Lionel. And they say Radio Lionel lie again. Propaganda after propaganda. Maurice Bishop said they shouldn't pay tax. And that is how police start stopping you on the road for license. They didn't used to stop people on the road for license. So some people used to be driving years and they don't pay tax. But government calling for people to go and pay their driver's license. I don't know if it was $10 or $5 or what that time. And then the opposition decided to tell people, stop paying your license because too much road in the hole. Too much road in the hole. They used to dig up part of the road in the night and plant blogo and fig. So the potholes in the road, they wanted to give the impression that the holes was so deep, they'll dig it up and plant fig and blogo in it. And then the police started stopping people if they did not have the license. And they had to pack up the vehicle and go and pay the license. Every attempt at development was seriously criticized. And even that, in the 1976 election, Gary won 9 seats. It was not an easy period. So coming up to independence, it was a very difficult period. A lot of turmoil. Gary described it like brimstone and fire. Sugar moved to $5 a pound. Gas moved from $1.00 to $5 a pound. People was buying icing sugar to sweeten tea to give their children. Because in those days, people believe if you don't have sugar, you go dead. And while that, known GNP and Alliance people in the area had message. The shops would sell their message, but it was not selling to known Gayites. It was a very, very, very difficult time for those who claimed they were Gayites. Some of the language used, like the language Deacon using now, commoners and classless and beggy and cultural vultures, was cadavers. And you're stupid and you're dunce and illiterates and stinking Gayites. That is how they used to refer. And Gary used to always tell people, you have to keep your enemies near. Don't be angry with them. Learn to make your X. Because a lot of the Gayites couldn't read and write. Some of the most beautiful X I've seen came from people. When they say illiterate, Gary said, no, you are not well lettered. So people would tell you, when you ask them to write a name, they would say to you, I'm not well lettered. But they would make some very beautiful X. They will design the extremities of the X. It was a long road. And he constantly encouraged them, send your children to school, send your children to school. 28 schools in 13 and a half years. St. George's University, Land for the Landless program, pre-primary education, technical education in collaboration with the Canadians, cultural programs, arts, carvings, you name it. Eric Gary tried to do it. And over the years, we have tried our best to tarnish his name and to suppress the work that he has done. Tomorrow is Thursday, and we continue on the same trajectory, speaking about independence and Eric Matthew Gary. Thank you, caller. Thank you very much for listening to us for the day, and those who call and those who participate. And we want to encourage you. Don't be afraid to talk about your history, the verbal, the traditional, the knowledge that you pass down is important. Thank you very much.
When the clock hits 12, you know where to be. Turn it up, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend.